In a situation like yours with finances in the red, you wouldn't pass a loan review, and it's just a waste of time for us to try to accommodate you, so please leave. The pool might as well hide money in a dresser drawer.
The bank teller, who turned out to be my middle school classmate Samantha, said as I walked into the bank in my work clothes to deposit my employees' salaries. After a loud laugh, Samantha dismissed me and called for the next customer. Burning with anger but unable to leave without depositing the employees' salaries, I took out my smartphone on the spot and made a call. The conversation was brief, and I waited for the person on the other end of the line. After finishing with a customer, Samantha came back to bother me.
Excuse me, ma'am, in the work clothes. Please leave quickly as you're disturbing others. We'd prefer if you refrain from entering our bank dressed like that in the future.
Trying to embarrass me with a loud, sarcastic tone and smirking, Samantha was enjoying herself. I leaned in close, ready to burst her bubble. Should I tell you about your resignation letter, huh? Samantha's face twisted for a moment, but she quickly resumed her unpleasant smile.
I don't know what you're aiming at saying that, but I could quit anytime. I'm about to become the wife of the assistant branch manager of this bank.
She flaunted the sparkling ring on her left ring finger, oblivious to who was standing behind me. My name is Nancy Smith, soon to turn 30 and still single. These days, getting married later in life is common, so it's not really a problem at my age. At family gatherings, I'm more often asked about my work than marriage, which I appreciate. Our family runs a hot spring resort. Originally, my dad, who worked in a downtown hotel, took over the resort through a friend's connection, and it was handed down from him to my brother 5 years ago. There was a time when Dad was on the verge of fleeing in the middle of the night, but thanks to a decisive loan from the bank, he was able to turn the business around. After going to college in the city and working in a company for several years post-graduation, I returned to help with the family business when my brother asked about a year ago. Besides hands-on work at the resort, I also assist with its management. Our hometown is a small rural town divided into 3 districts, with my family's home near the central area, close to the train station and town hall. There's no hierarchy between the districts, though people from outside the central area sometimes envy us. Away from the station, you can barely find a corner store. It's that sparse, so I guess the young folks want to live in the central area. In middle school, the first person who spoke to me during the entrance ceremony was Samantha.
Hey, did you go to Central Elementary?
Central Elementary is the name of an elementary school located in the downtown area.
Yes. And you? Hey, do you know a guy named Robert?
Instead of answering my question, Samantha kept advancing her own agenda. I did know Robert. We were in the same sports club in elementary school. When I told her that, Samantha's excitement skyrocketed.
Really? So, does he have a girlfriend? What's his type? Why don't you ask him?
I pushed her away coldly. I knew getting involved in this type of conversation would be troublesome, especially since Samantha was making it all about herself from the start, giving me a terrible first impression.
I can't ask him, that's why I'm asking for your help. Don't get cocky just because you're from Central.
Samantha's attitude suddenly turned hostile. Experiencing her abrasive nature firsthand, my instinct was to distance myself from this girl quickly. The Robert guy she was making a fuss about was Robert Williams, indeed popular among the girls at school and even had fans from other schools. But would they still like him if they knew what he was really like? Robert and I were quite close, almost like best friends. His mom worked at our resort, and when she had late shifts, he would wait in our staff room. Since I often helped out at the resort from a young age, I'd do homework with Robert when he was in the staff room or bring him meals.
Hey, Nancy. I fell asleep during language arts today. Can you show me your notes?
Lying on the sofa in the staff room, socks off and reading a comic book, Robert called out to me.
Sure. The girls in your fan club would cry if they saw you like this. Or if you asked the girls in the class about it. I think about 10 of them would come rushing in.
That's too much hassle, which is why I'm asking you.
Robert never acted this rudely at school or elsewhere. His demeanor was like a charming young man straight out of an anime, not a member of the sports club. Samantha, who didn't participate in the sports club, fell for Robert during a town marathon where he won the elementary division. I heard from girls at Samantha's elementary school about all this. A month into middle school life, our class began to come together, and friendships became clearly defined. Samantha kept fussing about being from the center of town, but no one else was making a fuss over such things.
Robert, can I borrow an eraser?
Go ahead.
Robert responded with his usual sales smile, which encouraged Samantha to push forward more aggressively. Robert made a troubled face and signaled me for help, but I mouthed back to him, "You reap what you sow." Samantha, sharp as ever, noticed this exchange and came at me with an angry face.
Don't think you can flirt with Robert just because you're poor. You might live in the center of town, but your family's hotel is a dump. You should just shut it down and move to some vacant lot in the mountains.
At that time, our hotel was indeed struggling financially. Due to the impact of the bursting of the dot-com bubble in the United States, the American economy entered a contraction phase. Banks became cautious, reducing loans, and the societal shift towards saving over spending reduced demand for tourism and banquets, hitting our hotel's revenue hard. In such a small town, the state of our hotel, a symbol of the town, was well known to everyone. As I walked through town, adults I knew would ask, "Is your family okay?"
Thanks for worrying about my family, Samantha. It looks like Johnson Bank is really stepping up to help us out, so no need to worry. And I'm not making eyes at Robert, so don't get the wrong idea.
Samantha huffed and puffed back to Robert, sticking to him until the bell rang. When I returned home and went out to help at the hotel, I saw Robert in the staff room.
Robert, you're going to have a hard time if you keep up this nice guy act. Just be yourself, and the annoying girls will leave you alone.
I'm not pretending to be anyone. This is just how I act if I want to live peacefully. Maybe you should try it sometime. You always get entangled with that Samantha girl.
Yes, since the day of the entrance ceremony, Samantha has been picking on me. It's clear she's jealous of my friendship with Robert, but she also seems to dislike that my family runs a prominent hotel in the center of town. So, she uses our financial troubles to throw her sarcastic jabs. However, all this tension disappeared after we were assigned to different classes in our second year of middle school. I moved away for high school and then went on to a university in New York, losing all contact with Samantha. Robert and I only saw each other occasionally at the hotel when I visited home. He started working part-time at the hotel when we went to high school, so we had the chance to chat when I came back. I had completely forgotten about Samantha, and after graduating from university, I got a job in New York, just shuttling between work and my apartment. That's when I got a call from my brother.
"Nancy, are you interested in coming back home? The hotel is short on staff." "Well, you know I've been trying to expand our business a lot. I need support from the management, and we can't find the right people out here in the rural area."
Tired from daily life and without any particular goals, my brother's SOS was very appealing, so I quickly agreed to return home. While I found working at the hotel fulfilling, I focused most on the backstage tasks. Since our hot springs were a big selling point, I also worked with vendors to check the source, filters, tanks, and flow rates. Not just the hot springs, but my brother had also started a heated pool, seasonal baths, and medicinal baths, so I had to manage the boilers as well. While my brother, the president, was the public face of our business, I helped out front when needed but mostly stayed behind the scenes, working in my work clothes to ensure the facility and environment were pristine, as that was our hotel's main attraction. One day, our accountant fell ill with the flu and had to take a few days off. With the rest of the accounting staff also swamped, I ended up going to make the payroll deposits. I went straight to Johnson Bank in my work clothes, not expecting it to cause such a big problem. At the bank, I saw a vaguely familiar face at the counter. A beautiful face with tightly curled hair hanging down and heavy, theatrical makeup. She lethargically pressed the number calling button and called customers with a listless air. It was Samantha. When she spotted a young male customer, she skipped the button and took him ahead of others. Her tone changed dramatically, and she started talking in a high-pitched, flirty manner. The waiting customers, puzzled, kept checking their number tickets, but nobody spoke up. "Excuse me, I think it's the turn of the number 3. I found myself saying. Samantha glanced my way, startled, but then pretended not to hear and continued assisting the man. After he was done quickly because he only had a payment to make, Samantha finally seemed about to press the button for the next number, but instead, she turned to me.
At your age, to go out in such tattered work clothes. No money, no style, huh? Poor Nancy, always so pitiful.
I just silently ignored her, not engaging with her insults. I was more upset by Samantha's disregard for the waiting customers than by the way she looked down on me.
In a situation like yours, with finances in the red, you wouldn't pass a loan review, and it's just a waste of time for us to try to accommodate you, so please leave. The pool might as well hide money in a dresser drawer.
After laughing loudly, Samantha dismissed me and called the next customer. Burning with anger but unable to leave without depositing the employees' salaries, I took out my smartphone on the spot and made a call. The conversation was brief, and I waited for the person on the phone to arrive. When she finished with another customer, Samantha started bothering me again.
Excuse me, ma'am, in the work clothes. Please leave quickly as you're disturbing others. We'd prefer if you refrain from entering our bank dressed like that in the future.
Samantha, trying to embarrass me with a loud voice while smirking, was clearly enjoying herself. I moved closer to her, ready to burst her bubble. Should I teach you how to write a resignation letter, huh? Samantha's face twisted momentarily, but she quickly resumed her unpleasant smile.
I don't know why you would say that, but I could quit my job anytime. I'm going to be the wife of the assistant branch manager of this bank soon.
Samantha flaunted the shining ring on her left ring finger, continuing her tactless remarks.
You probably still haven't had any good news, have you, Nancy? Wearing those ragged, dirty work clothes, you'll be single forever. It'd be embarrassing to have a girlfriend or wife like that. I, on the other hand, have polished myself as a woman and am blessed with a wonderful marriage proposal soon. I won't even need to work soon.
Samantha continued to taunt, unaware of who was behind me.
Samantha, I'll consider your punishment later, so refrain from private talk and return to your duties.
Samantha's face turned pale with fear. It wasn't my intention to call him at this moment. But when I told the bank manager on my smartphone that I wasn't being assisted at the counter, he rushed over. I could see the anger in the manager's temples. As I glanced at Samantha and chuckled, then walked with the manager to the back guest room. There was a sound like something breaking, likely caused by Samantha in frustration. What an exasperating woman.
I sincerely apologize for the extremely rude behavior of our bank employee.
The manager apologized deeply, so I asked him not to apologize too much and proceed with the necessary procedures. Could you please cancel our account now and transfer the balance of $397 million to this account at Montgomery Bank? The manager, pale-faced, desperately pleaded for me to reconsider the cancellation.
I am truly sorry for Samantha's rudeness. We will properly instruct her and apply appropriate sanctions. From now on, I will personally oversee the handling of your Scott Hotel, so please reconsider the cancellation.
There wasn't any particular problem or dissatisfaction with the manager. However, Samantha's behavior today was infuriating, and even before today, she had been favoring customers she liked over others, which was problematic. It made me wonder about continuing business with a bank that allowed such things. I know that Johnson Bank has been with our hotel since its inception, and above all, when we were facing our biggest financial crisis and were being turned down for loans by the assigned bank officers, it was a branch manager of Johnson Bank at the time who lent us money, ready to take a leap of faith. James, a very honorable man, risked everything to lend us money. Although it's questionable to terminate relationships over someone like Samantha's remarks, there had been discussions about canceling our Johnson Bank account for some time. After saving our nearly bankrupt business, James was fired a few years later for reasons that didn't align with the bank's policies. Since then, our family started feeling distrust towards Johnson Bank. Although we had a stable relationship with them since our business stabilized, since my brother took over the hotel, Johnson Bank had been aggressively pushing for more loans. Recently, by chance, my brother learned that James was now the branch manager at Montgomery Bank in the city of Arlington, and immediately opened a corporate account there. The city of Arlington is only a 30-minute drive away, so it wouldn't be a hassle to deal with in the future. We were just considering when to switch accounts. Today, I was supposed to discuss the timing of the cancellation with the Johnson Bank branch manager, but Samantha's actions prompted me to push the issue. I had brought all the necessary documents for this.
But if you insist on canceling today, how do you intend to handle the payroll deposit?
Well, given the circumstances, I will hand out this month's salaries. It's only for a few employees who just joined this month and didn't have time to set up their accounts for salary. Typically, employee salaries are transferred automatically from the company account on payday. However, for newly hired employees, the first month's salary needs to be deposited at the counter since their account setup doesn't complete in time. Therefore, since most of the employees' salaries have already been transferred today and the withdrawals are completed, there is no issue with canceling the account now. As the manager hung his head, Samantha knocked and entered the room where we were discussing.
I've brought some coffee.
Step back.
I intervened, allowing Samantha to serve the coffee despite the branch manager's anger.
I apologize for earlier. It was my first time seeing someone dressed like that at the bank, and it startled me,
she said coolly, not forgetting to inject a hint of sarcasm. I retorted firmly. Startled? You didn't seem startled at all. You were quite eloquent with your rude remarks. Samantha, perhaps angered by my words, started making excuses to the branch manager.
Listen, this woman is a former classmate of mine. She's been harassing me for a long time, and I was so scared when she entered the entrance. She gets violent when she's angry, and I thought she might disturb other customers, so I spoke harshly to drive her away. I was thinking of the bank's best interest, really.
I was astounded and decided to spill everything about Samantha to the branch manager. I recounted not only her nitpicking from our middle school days, but also her lackadaisical customer service and how she would prioritize young men regardless of their number in line. The branch manager, trembling with restrained anger, finally said, "Samantha, please write your resignation immediately. It's not just about Nancy's complaint today. We've received numerous complaints about you before. You said you could quit any time, right? Please do so now." He delivered the verdict dispassionately. Samantha trembled, attempting to argue weakly.
Hey, think this through. The Scott Hotel is drowning in debt because of poor business expansion. If they go bankrupt, the money we've lent won't be recovered. We should cut ties with such a corrupt, impoverished hotel.
I didn't know on what basis she spoke of our financial situation, but the more she talked, the more she embarrassed herself. Feeling sorry for the branch manager, yet knowing our ties with the bank were over, and believing Samantha needed a bit more of a lesson, I showed no mercy in my response. "We will also be closing our corporate account, and since there's no reason to maintain our relationship, please transfer the cancellation balance of $397 million to Montgomery Bank," I said with a smile, watching Samantha gape in shock.
What do you mean? $397 million? How does such a rundown hotel in the countryside have so much money?
As Samantha tried to grasp at my clothes in her confusion, the branch manager struggled to hold her back. What a delightful scene. Throughout middle school, no matter how unpleasant Samantha was, I endured silently because arguing only made things worse. I often thought about making her eat her words someday. Now was my chance to explain. My father was an investor, and while he worked at a hotel in New York, he was deeply involved in investing, so we were never short on money. When a hotel where a friend worked was about to go under, my father took an interest and bought it. That hotel is in this town. Well, there was indeed a time when we nearly went bankrupt due to the recession. My father's investments didn't always pan out, and we had some tough times. Samantha, it seems like your memory of us is stuck in those times. Samantha just twisted her face in silence.
The Scott Hotel is also involved in investment projects in the resort industry, and they've been depositing all their earnings with our bank. You talk nonsense without knowing anything. Go to the office now and write up your resignation immediately."
The branch manager yelled at her. Samantha, trembling, muttered "but," and hesitated to move. Maybe it's time to make her fully realize her defeat. "Since it's distressing to end our long relationship, could you proceed with the cancellation process?" The branch manager, sensing my decision was final, promptly started the process. Samantha, you stay. There's more to discuss." As Samantha tried to leave the room with a fallen face, I stopped her. "I got married 3 months ago, so I'm no longer a Smith." I pulled out my employee badge from my work clothes pocket and showed it to Samantha.
Nancy Williams. Oh, Robert.
"Yes, Robert Williams. We're married now. Robert is the hotel's manager, and we're working together to boost the hotel business." Samantha had chased Robert around until high school and clung to him at reunions. Apparently, after Robert showed no interest, Samantha, feeling rushed as she entered her 30s, quickly propositioned her supervisor, who was an assistant branch manager.
I don't want to see your face anymore. Go back.
"You should be the one going back. Hurry up and submit your resignation. I can't leave until the $397 million is safely transferred." Samantha, sniffing and nearly in tears, left the room. The transfer to Montgomery Bank was completed successfully. James went out of his way to ensure that the salaries for the employees, which were supposed to be paid by hand, were promptly transferred upon the establishment of their accounts for salary at Montgomery Bank. Afterward, Samantha resigned immediately, but the reason spread by rumor, making her reemployment difficult. Samantha's parents, who are farmers, were so angry that they made her help with the farm work, and now she's living a muddy life doing the field work she hated the most. After learning the whole story, the assistant branch manager of Johnson Bank called off his engagement with Samantha and married a woman from the office within a few months. Samantha goes to local matchmaking events and mixers but is called an unfashionable old lady and still has no luck with men, as she continues to sport outdated fashions. Meanwhile, I'm still running around in my work clothes at the back of the hotel, but I've become more knowledgeable about hot springs. Considering we have plenty of natural springs, I'm even thinking about starting a business to provide private homes with their own hot spring water, among other new ventures.
Nancy's family is really powerful. Always trying to start new businesses, it's impressive. Being around you makes it seem like life could always be fun, and it energizes me.
Robert, who had always loved the lively atmosphere of our hotel, said. He had been a proactive part of the hotel work as a part-timer and was deeply trusted by my father, brother, and mother, who was the landlady. I was surprised when Robert, who had been just a friend, proposed, but I couldn't think of anyone better than him with whom to uplift the hotel. During a break in the staff room, while having coffee, I spoke to Robert about the future. But Robert, it's great that we're thinking about new ventures, but it looks like it'll be a while before we can start. There's something even more important before that.
Oh, really?
Robert hugged me, his face brighter than ever. In a year, our family will be growing. Looking fondly at the maternity diary, Robert reluctantly went back to work.